Today, we're gonna check out a bass. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. That's right, I've got a JP bass here, which is kind of confusing because J usually means jazz bass, P usually means P bass. But no, this is a signature precision bass for a guy named Jay within the band Luna Sea, which if you haven't heard of these guys before, they're actually pretty cool. I classify them as hard rock with maybe a little bit of punk vibes. I mean, had they been singing in English, I bet they would have been popular over here. So maybe give them a listen after this. I think you might enjoy it. But we need to check out Jay's new signature bass here. And you guys know, if I'm documenting a bass on my show, it's because it's got some weird quirky specs or it's a really cool color. Oh my goodness. Look at this black gold sparkle J Signature Precision bass. This thing is chunky. That's my first impressions. It's got a decently sized neck, but it's really heavy, and you're gonna notice it's a reverse headstock, which looks really crazy in photos, but honestly, holding this does not feel all that crazy at all. But he just recently got two new signatures. So this is the black gold. This is like the standard production model. That's still a limited edition, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be in production a little bit longer. So where he got this whole color scheme from is he's a big fan of vintage motorcycles. So apparently in the 70s, this was a color scheme that you could find on some really cool custom helmets. So that's where this came from. But his other one was this color. They call it Champagne Gold. Nah, just kidding, Champagne Gold. But that one's named after his first solo album called Pyromania. But apparently all of these were custom shop versions done up by Greg Fessler that were like limited editions of 25 a while ago. So these are the new Made in Japan versions 2022. And they cost 181,500 yen. So first impressions, yeah, this thing is cool. It's also got very nice vintage specs that we'll talk about here on the workbench. It's got elements that you don't see every day, so of course it was a must review, because another one that, yeah, you could swap this out if you don't like it. It's his signature Maria bass plate. As far as what comes with it for that price, you get a deluxe gig bag. It's nice and padded, but that's just how most Fender Japans are. And then we have all our usual warranty pamphlet information, so the giant black pick that you gotta love, and your little red booklet here. So to learn more about this awesome bass, let's go ahead and throw it on the workbench to take a look at its parts and specs. Inside the JP bass, yes, 100%, get yourself a clear pick guard. You've got the finish all over it. This is such a cool, sparkly, festive bass. I just love it. So let's go ahead and dig into these specs. So according to the spec sheets, these are custom wound P bass pickups. They don't have any particular markings or anything, but it does have the cloth wiring, which is awesome. For this price point, I honestly was not expecting to see that. But we've got a metal shielding plate on the bottom. Then we've got these foam blocks to help set the height adjustment. Then we've got the cover of the pickups right here that the screws go through to secure into the body. So a pretty efficient little system here. Those pickups measure 11.48 k ohms within the circuit. But the stock pickguard is 3-ply. You get a black, white, and a black layer. It's just cut out for those pickups. You can't put anything else in here. Same thing with the routes for the body, unless you want to route the body additionally. But you just have a master volume and a master tone. There's no fancy stuff here. Just 250K pots with vintage style wiring. So far, I would say this exceeds my expectation at this price point. And here's what the route inside the body looks like. Just enough for what you got. As far as your truss rod, you have access right here at the base of the neck, but it doesn't even look like you have to remove your pick guard to get access to it if you have the right tools. So that's always a win in my book. So the finish, I mean, it's not all that crazy. I would say it really reminds me of a Moonless Night Les Paul custom that Gibson did in 2018. Which, by the way, if anybody has one of those and they might be interested in selling, please let me know. I'm in the market for one of them for my personal collection. I think this one's a little bit crazier than that because you get a little bit of a metallic shine to all this, and there's way more metal flake in here. That's basically just an ebony finish that has some sparkles thrown on it. Our bridge is vintage in style. It's got the threaded steel style saddles. It secures to the base using 5 screws. And I was surprised to find they actually used an ash body on this. Despite not being able to see the beautiful ash wood grain, he must have wanted that as a spec because he likes the ash body. But this is a gloss poly finish, so that means you don't have to worry about it aging too much. But moving on from our body, we've got a straight up maple neck. The fretboard is the neck, so it's all one piece of maple here. You got a couple of bird's eye in the fretboard, one right there, one there. In case you don't know, you get a little bit of like a figuring pattern right there. You've just got your regular black dots. It's got 20 vintage tall frets, and it's got that vintage 7 1/4 inch fretboard radius with a full 34 inch scale length. But it does come stock with a bone nut, believe it or not. It measures 1.66 inches at the nut width. By the 12th, it's a 2.25. They advertise it as a soft V neck, so it starts at 0.81 at the first fret neck depth, and then it measures 0.99 by the 12th. So definitely a pretty full feeling neck. To be honest, had I not read the spec sheet, I probably would have never even guessed this had a soft V shape to it, because by here it's like pretty much a perfect C shape. It's still very rounded feeling, but I guess I can feel the soft V right here. You really only notice it from about your 2nd fret, and then it pretty much is gone by right here. Here's that neck profile at the 1st and 12th fret. You can see exactly what I'm talking about. It's just a very slight V shape over here, but then it just pretty much disappears and becomes a C. I was really surprised how non-offensive this headstock actually is in person. I wasn't sure by the photos. I haven't tried to tune it while playing, so that might be a different thing. But the stated reason for why he decided to flip the headstock is because it represents his playing style, being not the norm. So it's still called a Fender P-Bass. You've got a string tree, and it's the vintage style poke it down, wrap it around style tuners. And your truss rod is capped off right here. The back has more of the same going on. Not too much more else to talk about besides just how beautiful it is. You've got your comfort cut over here. You've got the Maria neck plate. Strap button down here and up there. Then we can appreciate our beautiful maple neck. It was a little bit sticky when it was sent to me. That cleaned up just fine. There's a little bit of a chatoyant effect to it, not a whole lot. And then we don't have any branding on our tuners, so that looks a little bit strange having that blank space. But these are made in Japan. This one dates to 2022. The rest of the serial is covered up for dealer privacy. But all said and done, this one weighs 9 pounds exactly on my scale. Now for my demo, please keep in mind I do not have an actual bass amp. This is just going through my audio interface into my recording software, and I'll play around with some effects there. Now that we know all about Jay's new signature P bass, what are my final thoughts on this thing? I really like this. I mean, I'm not much of a bass player, so is my thoughts on this as a player and the tones that I got out of it, not even using a bass amp, the best? No, but I hope you enjoyed taking a look at it anyways. But I love this bass. The color's extra cool. I even think his gold one would probably be pretty cool in person, but I'm not alone in thinking this thing's awesome. These things have like sold out. At least the immediate pre-orders available on Fender's website. I'm sure there'll be more of these things. So I suppose if you're looking for a vintage style P bass on a general budget, I mean, these things aren't crazily expensive if you live in Japan. Now to get them to the United States, yeah, import duties, taxes, shipping, it does get expensive, but I still think it's completely worth it. If you're looking for one that has the vintage specs, the vintage wiring, and the full gloss finish everywhere. So Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed this bass review, I've done a couple other ones. You might enjoy the Gino Jazz bass, or how about the Silent Siren signature? You can check both of those out here.